Story 1: The Closet. One day I was home alone, and I heard a noise which sounded like someone dragging a metal chair or something heavy across the wooden floor. I'm pretty sure it wasn't my dad because he had his construction boots on. I know exactly what they sound like. Anyway, I was just about to watch a movie in my living room when the noise happened again, this time closer to my door. My curiosity got the better of me, so I opened the door slowly and looked out into the hallway. It was all dark because we don't have lights in the hallway, and as I started to close the door, I saw the shadow of a man running past my door. I screamed and ran into my mom's room where she keeps all the lights and the fans. I turned on every single light in that house and made myself a nice cup of tea. That's when I noticed that all the overhead lights flickered for a split second, then came back on. Then I noticed something else. The ceiling fan I had turned on in my mom's room was now moving in reverse. Then I heard the loud bang of my front door slamming open. Of course, I didn't go anywhere near it. Instead, I hid behind the bed curtains in my mom's room. A few minutes passed, and I heard footsteps going up the stairs. Then I heard my dog start barking like crazy. I knew that if whoever was outside managed to get into my house, then my dog would definitely be dead. But thankfully, my dog stopped barking suddenly, and I heard nothing after that. Now, years later, I still get freaked out if I hear any random noises at night. I used to love falling asleep with my door open, but now my door is always closed and locked. And sometimes in the middle of the night, I hear what sounds like heavy footsteps right outside my door. Story 2: The Screams. I was home alone one evening. I was upstairs getting ready for bed when I heard screams in the backyard. The type of screams that I can only describe as someone being murdered. At first, I thought it was kids playing. I mean, what else could it be? But then the screaming stopped. Then it started again, this time accompanied by heavy footsteps. I went to my window and saw these two huge shadows moving around in the yard. They were both tall and thin, like two human stick figures, and their movements were fast and fluid. I'll never forget how terrifying it was to see those two things dancing around in the darkness. I was frozen in fear. Then the two shadows suddenly stopped and seemed to stare right at me. I quickly pulled back the curtain. That's when the footsteps came closer to the house. I was shaking like crazy. They went around the house until they got to the front door. I watched in horror as the doorknob started to turn. I don't remember what happened after that. I guess I passed out or something. The next morning after, of course not sleeping at all, I went downstairs and out into the backyard. There was no sign of anyone ever being there, and yet the door was slightly ajar. I opened it all the way to find that it had been unlatched. I'm still scared just thinking about it. To this day, I still get scared when I hear footsteps outside my house, especially if they're slow and deliberate. Story 3: Someone's under my bed. It was the middle of the night, and I was awoken by what sounded like scratching coming from under my bed. I froze and listened. Then I heard it again. Someone or something was definitely scratching under my bed. My mom always told me that if I hear anything, to just ignore it and go back to sleep. So that's what I tried to do. But the scratching kept going. Then it got louder. It was really late at night, and my mom was away on a business trip. So I texted my dad, who was also away on a work trip. He told me to just go into the other room, which was my sister's room. So I did. I slept in her room for about a week until my mom got back. When she did come home, I told her everything that had happened. She said that she'd check it out, but nothing was ever found. Even today, my bed is still in that same room, and every time I hear a strange noise at night, I can't help but think that maybe there's something under my bed. Story 4: Crawling above me. One night I was awoken by what sounded like someone crawling on top of my bedroom ceiling. I sat there listening intently while trying to convince myself that it was just some branch from a tree scraping against my roof. But then I heard a loud crash. That's when I knew that whatever was up there had fallen off the ceiling. For a moment, there was silence. Then I heard footsteps in my hallway. I got so scared that I started crying. I was hoping whoever was up there wouldn't find me. I heard the footsteps coming closer to my door. Then they stopped. I was shaking with fear as I waited to hear what happened next. After a few minutes, the footsteps started moving away again. Once I heard them go down the stairs, I got out of bed and went to my window. I looked around to see if there was any damage to the roof, but it was all fine. I checked everywhere, but there was no signs of forced entry. And as far as I knew, no one had been in my house. Whoever it was seemed to have disappeared. To this day, I still occasionally hear what sounds like footsteps above my head. Sometimes I even hear strange noises during the day. And even though I know that it's probably just squirrels, I can't help but wonder if it could be him. Story 5. The Shadow. One night, I woke up to what sounded like voices whispering right outside my window. Of course, I was too scared to look out the window, so I just kind of lay there listening intently. It sounded like two people talking in hushed tones. Then I heard what sounded like footsteps on the roof. I could hear them walking around on the roof. Then I heard one of them jump down onto the ground. I was shaking with fear. Then I heard what sounded like heavy footsteps coming toward my house. I ducked under my covers and peeped out the window. I saw the shadow of a tall, lanky man with long arms walking past my window. His face was covered with what looked like a hood or a hat. I don't know. I couldn't quite make it out. Then I saw him reach out and knock on my door. I don't want to know what would have happened if I had answered that door. I'm still too scared to look out the window at night. I always keep it closed with the curtains drawn. And whenever I hear footsteps outside my house at night, I can't help but think that maybe it's him. Story 6 in the attic. One night, I was woken up by what sounded like someone climbing around in my attic. I lived alone at the time. I was laying in bed, trying to decide whether to investigate or just go back to sleep, when I heard a loud crash. Whatever it was fell over. Then I heard a voice in my attic say, "Oh no." I immediately called the police, but they didn't find anyone. They said that if I wanted them to come back and search again, then I'd have to pay extra. And since I didn't have much money, I just hung up on them. After they left, I decided that I was too scared to stay in my house. So I ended up spending the night at my friend's house. The next morning, I went to my attic to find that nothing had been damaged and there was no signs of anyone being up there. Still, to this day, I still hear what sounds like footsteps in my attic sometimes, and it drives me insane. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content. Also check out these other videos. They're really great. And have a good night.